Hey, Twisted listeners, I'm Cindy,
And I'm Diva
and this is Twisted Listers, a podcast about murder.
and Liz.
And I was just going to tell Diva a story, and I was like, you know what? Let's record so that I can fucking tell everybody this.
Tell everyone.
I got muted by you know how they like suggest Facebook groups to you, like your friend liked this, or your friend commented on this. So I saw this thing. It was about this like white dude that in like 1962 bought an island in the Seychelles, I think is how you used to say
Seychelles.
Yeah. Thank you. Seychelles. And he bought this uninhabited island, and then he got like a native from one of the other islands to help him like plant and introduce species and yada yada. And they're like, in 2007, like the guy was born in 1925, so he's fucking old. They're like, in 2007, these like rich people tried to buy it from him to make it like a luxury, hotel, like vacation spot. And he said no, and instead he like sold it or gave it away so that it's like a national park. So everybody's like, this guy's so amazing. And I'm like, you know what? That guy does sound rad, but I'm so fucking sick of white centering in history. This guy, he bought an island that a white man from England bought an island that supposedly belonged to a different, like it didn't belong to him. And then he gets a native,
Yeah, you lost me at got a native too. That was like where you lost me. But like,
honestly, they talk about like their friendship and they're so close together, but the native is like the afterthought. He's like the footnote in this white man's story of like being wonderful. And they kicked me out for being political, but people were like, you're a piece of shit, like your head's up your ass. If you see color, you're the problem.
And I'm like, they did the seeing color thing.
They're like, somebody actually said, I don't care if he's green, yellow, purple. I'm like, y'all are like,
that's bad.
And they're all laugh reacting. And I wrote, like, I love how like all these white people are like super defensively like laugh reacting to this because this makes them so uncomfortable.
That's really sad.
It was ridiculous. So I got muted. So I just blocked the.
What would have been extra cool is if he bought the island and then just gave it to the indigenous people who are from there and was like, here's.
Or just didn't buy it because it already belonged to those people. Like, how?
Right. But if it was for sale, that means some other horrible person could have bought it. So there have been cases where people bought things or donated land back, literally land back to indigenous people. And that is cool.
That's great. And that would have been great if he had done that. But what would be even better is if like land that belonged to people wasn't up for sale to begin with, and then just like making this guy out to be like this. And to be honest, like the fact that he didn't allow it to go to like rich people to be a resort is great, but like why was it his to begin with? And like why, you know what I'm saying?
Don't make him this big savior figure. Like,
yeah, exactly. And then people were so fucking mad and it was hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, anyway, so I just had to tell that story because I fucking hate everybody. And I don't know, whatever. Like, if you see color, you're the problem. I'm like, oh my God. Like, where in Kentucky are you from, sir?
Yeah. I've never heard a person of color say that.
Yeah, because they don't have the privilege to ever be able to think that way.
Yeah, like, we all see our color like all the time.
Yeah, because my white kinfolk shove it in your face constantly. And God knows I probably do too, unintentionally. So fuck, dude. Anyway, I just had to tell that story because it was like funny, like what people were saying.
Yeah.
But like on a deeper level, it's concerning that this is like how people think. And like the second that they become uncomfortable when like they or how they perceive themselves as like under fire or like, threatened, like, they just like lash out like fucking animals. Like, it was crazy. Anyway, that's our story. Welcome to part 1 of murders that went viral. I chose this topic. I think it's going to be good. Everybody give a shout out to Kay. She's taken over.
Yeah.
You already made like a really cute little trigger warning picture that says boop, 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 because it's what you say. And she was like, I can't not have that on there.
That's cute.
It's very cute.
Alert.
Violent
content. Yeah.
Yeah. So, which I love. So she's doing really great. She's got a Discord server. If you guys want to join that, it's on the link tree, which is in the bio of our Instagram. We
you know what I should do? I should entice people to the Discord with is I should share recipes on there. Little known Twisted Listeners fact: I like to cook.
Oh yeah, I mean we both do, but Diva's really like I'm like
some
lazy
salsa
and
recipes,
busy, and yeah, you are like we're both from scratch cookers though, both of us.
Yes, no, you're a great cook.
Yeah, but like I don't know, you do more epic shit than I do. I get lazy with it. I'll have like a good week where I'm like a fucking chef, and then I'm like, oh, frozen fish sticks, great. So
no, I watch cooking shows all day sometimes, and I love it, and I'm very fancy about things sometimes, but then sometimes I'm like, I want fried chicken and fries, you know, like sometimes I'm trashy.
Yeah, but that's good too. We could do twisted recipes, and that'd be fun on the Discord. So
twisted salsas, twisted cocktails.
That'd be awesome.
Crazy.
Very good. Anyway, all right, you guys know where to find us everywhere, so I think, do you want to just jump in? Is there anything else
to do it?
No? Okay.
It.
You go first, right? Because
I still have a Patreon. We're gonna find a time this week, but it's ready. It's fully baked. It's ready to go. Ready to come out of the oven.
I could do tomorrow, but it'd be kind of late. So we'll talk.
We will schedule off the air.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. You guys don't need to hear our
busy schedules. Yeah, which is really epic.
Although I do love, like, it takes us like 15 minutes just to get through the week schedule.
What about this time? What about this time?
What about this day? No, I've got this. No, I've got that. It's really interesting. Anyway, let's get to the murders.
Okay. All right, so my first case is gonna make Cindy yell a lot. You might already know it, but either way, you're gonna yell. It's the case of Shanquella Robinson.
I am gonna yell, and I do. The thing is, I stopped paying attention when I started feeling like my blood pressure rise. I was like, oh, I can't.
Yeah. So this happened in October 2022 in San Jose del Cabo, in Baja Sur, Mexico. So we're veering into a summer topic as well, which is murdered on vacation, right? Which we will probably get back into, revive it. So Shanquella was 25. She was from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay.
She went to Winston-Salem State University at this time, and she also ran a small business on the side, braiding children's hair. Very wholesome.
That is really wholesome.
Yeah. So she goes on a friendcation, if you will, with 6 of her friends. I believe at least some of them are from her college. Mm-hmm. And they rented basically a luxury rental apartment. Definitely a step up from an Airbnb. Like, it's like a luxury apartment. It looks like a hotel.
Yeah. But it's like private.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of a little villa at the Puerto Los Cabos resort in Cabo San Lucas. Mm-hmm. Also where I'm indigenously from. So I got to go there sometime.
Yeah, you should.
Baja Sur. So according to her mom, who I'll mention a lot because she's very present in this case, Shanquella talked to her after arriving and checked in, and she said she was happy and laughing, totally herself. Nothing was to be concerned about.
Whoa. Sorry, I just saw something. I'm so sorry. Never mind. I was looking at a picture of her and then I read something. Sorry.
No, you're spoiling it.
I'm not spoiling anything. No. Go ahead. Sorry.
Spoiling it. Okay. Sorry. So everything was fine on the phone call. But her vacation fun was clearly very short-lived. Because the day after she arrived, Shanquella will, and I'm wording this carefully, let's say found, quote unquote, dead in the living room at the property where she and her friends were staying. And how she was found, how she became to be dead is a big discussion. So when first responders arrive, her friends will say that she died of alcohol poisoning. Basically, they're like wrapping it up with that narrative before like there's ever been any tests.
Right. They're like, this is what happened.
Too much to drink.
That's it.
She had too much to drink. That is what fucking will happen, right?
Yeah.
And I will go more into the timeline of her symptoms of that supposed alcohol poisoning and of her death in just a second.
Okay.
However, up top here, I'm going to say that the reason this case went viral was that a few weeks after her death, in about mid-November, a video of Shanquella went viral. She's being severely beaten.
Yes.
Shanquella is nude, and she's in what appears to be a bedroom with it. Just coincidentally has like a beautiful ocean view to it. So you can see this like beautiful setting. And she's being viciously beaten, as I said, by an unknown woman. And this is thought to be a female friend from the trip, of course, because they're in the villa, right? This woman throws her to the ground before kicking her and punching her, just like a torrent like of an assault, repeatedly. At one point, she's kicking her in the face, like it's really vicious, a ton of force.
It's fucking yeah,
really, really bad. And Shanquella's kind of putting her hands up to protect herself, just going on the defensive. She's not fighting back at all. And there's a man recording this, of course, and he speaks several times in the video, basically saying, "Quella, can you at least fight back? Can you at least fight back or something?"
Jesus. Like, what the fuck? No.
So he's kind of clearly on the side of the attacker, and he's kind of trolling her, right?
Yeah.
And she responds to that by yelling no, like pitifully, because she's saying, "I'm not gonna fucking fight you," basically.
Yeah. God damn it.
At one point, the assailant is sort of like puffing on her chest, and she says, "Get up, I'm tired of this shit," essentially, to that effect. Like, get up, okay, you're beating me, but
yeah, fucking asshole.
So her father will later say that everyone identifies this as Shanquella. It's not disputed that that's her. Her father. That was loud as fuck.
Was that your cat?
No, that was Sam's insanely loud phone that he's going to turn off.
Oh, hi Sam. Okay.
Okay. Her father says that it's like her to not fight back. She was not a fighter. She would not have thrown a punch back, basically. And that he also says, based on the video, and other people say this, that this is a planned ambush when she was sleeping, which explains why she's nude, right? So that's how she was sleeping. Lots of people do. Yeah. And she's attacked in bed, right? And I think this is really a good idea because the assailant is also wearing what I would describe as kind of like a pajama set. Okay. So this feels like the morning after, or depending on how late they were up, it could be 2:00, but like it feels like she's not woken up yet. Right. And she's just being attacked. Right. So this video makes the rounds all over the internet on social media, and people are outraged and disgusted and sharing it virally, as that's why we're here. And people are just disgusted that someone could stand by basically as their supposed friend, quote unquote, is like naked and being beaten with an inch of her life. Right. Yeah. They're filming it. They're not helping. They're filming it.
Right. Which is like, what the fuck are you doing? Honestly.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's so gross. A few days after this video surfaces, another one comes out, basically just showing, it's not too eventful, but it's showing Shanquella laughing and joking with her friends, some of her other friends earlier that day. Friends, just to quote unquote. Quote unquote friends, yeah, but it's just to show that she didn't see anything coming. Obviously, she's fine, right? From her end. So even more suspicion is raised when it comes out that following her autopsy in Mexico, her death certificate says she died of a spinal cord and neck injury.
That's weird. Alcohol doesn't typically do that.
Yeah, it does not mention alcohol anywhere. I couldn't quite find a clear answer on this. I didn't see anywhere that it was like zero alcohol in her system. I just found that it didn't mention alcohol.
Right. Also, I love how alcohol is so often like an excuse for when people are murdered. And it's like, alcohol is not illegal.
Right, but it also doesn't cause a spinal cord injury either way, right? Even if she had a little bit in her system.
But just in every instance, it's like, oh, well, they were drunk. And it's like, there's no reason that they couldn't be. Like, what?
And she's 25, she's on vacation. Of course she could be, right?
Right.
Yeah, and either way, there's a fucking spinal injury. So
right. I'm just saying, like, generally, I hate that shit.
Yeah.
Continue.
And it's interesting to me, too. I looked into it a bit in depth from the Mexican autopsy, and this report specified a very specific type of spinal injury called atlas luxation, which is specifically defined as, quote, an injury that often occurs when a person's head is violently yanked or twisted away from the neck.
Oh, shit.
So this implies, like, it's not
like
a fall.
Grabbed her neck and were like pulling her.
Doesn't feel like a fall to me. It feels like someone is yanking your head or yanking your neck.
It feels to me, that's like a hair pulling.
Yeah.
Like a really vicious hair pulling or something like that.
For sure. Yeah. Or just grabbing at your fucking head, right? Punching you.
Yeah. God damn, dude.
Even punching someone with a great force could maybe do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So the Attorney General for Baja Sur says in a press conference that she died a result of, quote unquote, direct aggression, which is kind of a fancy way of saying assault, murder.
Right.
And even they said, Mexico did, that an arrest warrant was issued for an unnamed suspect for the murder, which they called a femicide, which is, I think, a thing that happens by default in Mexico in some places.
Wow. Yeah.
They did say the suspect was a U.S. citizen, so obviously one of the friends, quote unquote. And he said at the time, very shortly afterwards, that the Mexican authorities were actively pursuing an extradition request from the U.S. for this person. And everyone is like, yeah, obviously it's the assailant, right? In the video, that's the person. So here's what happens what the friends do, what the play-by-play is of that day. So the police report from Mexico describes that the friends had called a doctor to the vacation house that day about 2:13 p.m.
Okay.
So for me, also remembering that the video is daytime, it tracks that it could be like not that long before they call, right?
Right.
And also around the time hungover drunk people might wake up, right?
Yeah, in a violent rage, apparently.
So when the doctor gets there, Shanquella was quote unquote stable, but was out of it and dehydrated and couldn't talk, and appeared to be quote unquote intoxicated. But that's very loose. There was no tests. There's no blood alcohol level test. If you're having
like a gnarly spinal injury, that could definitely cause
and you know what?
Things.
She also, like I said, could have had alcohol in her system, but was
She's
also
on vacation.
Also was beaten. It could be both, right?
Right.
Does not prevent you from being dehydrated. You can be both things at once, right?
Yeah.
So the friends told the doctor right away, oh, she had way too much to drink. You know, she had a lot of alcohol. But like I said, this wasn't verified. There was no like breath test or any fucking thing.
Yeah.
So this doctor also wanted to get Shanquella to a hospital right away when he saw her. It's like, oh, we're going to take her to the hospital. But the friend said no and insisted that they not take her to the hospital.
What the fuck? Why?
Insisted that he or she, I don't know which gender the doctor was, insisted that the doctor treat Shanquella there at the house.
Okay.
So right away, I'm like, woo, a big red flag, like banner is like waving through the air. Yeah. So I wish the doctor had just been like, fuck you, and just taken her. But apparently they did try to treat her on site. And as they were trying to give her an IV to get some fluids in her or whatever, Shanquella started having a seizure.
Yeah, because she's fucking dying.
They called an ambulance. She eventually went into cardiac arrest shortly after. Paramedics came to the scene and tried to revive her, but they couldn't. And she was officially pronounced dead around 6 p.m. that day. So there's about 4 hours between when they call and when she dies.
And she's just, in horrific suffering and pain. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. God damn it.
So Shanquella's family has been very vocal about their feelings that, this is all bullshit, as we've kind of been getting at. And right from the start, the U.S. government didn't do shit to investigate her death as suspicious. They have a lot of valid questions of this whole situation. Like, for example, why did the friends just get to go home? And the U.S. government never interrogated them. I'm not sure if Mexico did, but the U.S. government never stopped the friends to say, hey, let's get your statement or anything.
That's at any point. Fucked. I can't.
The Robinson family has pointed out because again, they're doing the investigation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. This is it's because she's black, like straight up, 100%. This is the only reason why Natalie Holloway, they're fucking extraditing him like this month to America. And she died in 2005? And Shanquella died not even a year ago. And we can't fucking.
Like 6 months ago, 9 months ago. Yeah.
The fuck?
So the Robinson family pointed out that all of the friends gave completely different stories, and all their stories change constantly about how Shanquella was found, who called a doctor, and where in the living room she was found. One of them said, for example, she was in a chair. Another one said she was in a bedroom, not in the living room at all. Another one said she was on the floor. So these fuckers did not get together to like coordinate what they would say. And if any authorities investigators had actually bothered to interview them, their shit would have fallen apart, but they've never been questioned.
Their shit still did fall apart, and it still doesn't matter.
To the family, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Who aren't the real investigators. So
sadly,
a friend also called Shanquella's mom before the doctor was called to tell her Shanquella has alcohol poisoning.
So he was called like ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
So why the really quick diagnosis? You don't know that for sure. I wouldn't be positive of that.
Like,
I wouldn't be positive of that. I would say, oh, she's had too much to drink. We're going to call a doctor. Like, I wouldn't be like, she has alcohol poisoning. Like, I wouldn't be certain, right?
Yeah. Oh my God.
And if they just found her unconscious mysteriously, which is kind of how they all framed it, how would you even be sure it was alcohol? Right. What if she had something else?
Right.
Yeah. So in this phone call, the mom is like, you should go take her to the ER, which is a logical statement.
Yeah.
But this friend or friends that were addressing her actually lied. This is an actual lie we know to not be true, and said that Shanquella's travel insurance wouldn't work in the country, and so going to an ER would cost them $5,000 in cash, so they can't take her to an ER.
What the fuck?
Again, it's all bullshit, verified bullshit.
They're just
they're coming up with reasons why she can't go to the ER. They wanted her. They wanted her to sit there and die.
Oh my God.
They wanted her to sit there and die. So the Mexican autopsy's findings of Shanquella being physically injured were also confirmed after the family saw her body after it was returned to North Carolina for funeral and burial and stuff, right? She reportedly, according to her whole family who saw her, she had very obvious physical trauma, including bruises all over her face, a busted lip, swelling around her eye, and a fat bump on her head.
Because that stuff had time to develop because it took her so long to fucking die.
Well, and it wasn't that long. She was fucking beaten. We know she was, right?
I'm not going to jump ahead. I'm not going to jump ahead, even though I want to yell out, fuck, I'm not going to.
So after her death, according to the Robinson family attorney, Mexico did their part. They submitted everything necessary on their end to the U.S. government. So the Robinson family has no beef with Mexico. I'll put it that way.
That's good. I mean, that's really like...
Yes. Mexico did their checks and boxes, the shit they're supposed to do, and they submitted all this shit to the U.S. government, and the U.S. did nothing in response. I'll tell you what they did.
Shit.
So, and like I said, even though Mexico said they issued an arrest warrant, this person has not been extradited.
Right.
And I think that is the U.S.'s decision, right?
To not let them go to Mexico to be charged. So not only are they not doing anything, they're preventing another country from doing something.
Yeah. Sure. So there was reportedly the only thing the U.S. has done is a quote unquote, big sarcastic quotes here, detailed and thorough, in their words, in federal investigation, which wrapped up real quick and didn't involve like talking to anyone.
Yeah.
And 6 months after Shanquella's death / murder, in mid-April, so just a month and a half ago, the government announced that no charges will be filed in this case, and that there was not enough evidence to support any kind of prosecution. And as part of this investigation, the U.S., this is wild, the United States did their own autopsy, reportedly, when Shanquella's body arrived, federal autopsy, and found no spinal cord injury, but also no cause of death at all.
Oh, that's so interesting. What is going on?
Nothing happened.
Are one of these friends like connected? Like, is somebody...
I don't think so. I haven't found anything about that. I think the government just doesn't want to do its job because she's a Black woman.
I think so too. I mean, there's
gotta... I guess that's it.
They just don't give a shit because this is such an easy fucking case. And like, just let Mexico like have the person then. There's a video of this. There's a video of it. Like, what the motherfuck, dude?
Yeah. No cause of death. She just dropped dead. Bloop, bloop, bloop. Covered in injuries.
Yeah.
And I like how the US is like gaslighting Mexico too. Like, Mexico was like, she died of a spinal cord injury, and US is like, nah, we didn't see it.
The best part is like there are so many fucking like just straight up like racists that are like, well, Mexico wouldn't know, they don't have good healthcare, like how would they know? And it's like,
they actually have pretty good healthcare.
They do no, I know, like, and that's what I'm saying is like people are like, oh, like just I just can, you know, in people's minds, even if they don't,
they could dismiss Mexico.
You're dismissive. They're like, oh, they're like a third world country, like they're more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it makes it so easy for our scumbag ass fucking government to get away with shit like this because people just take it, you know, like, oh yeah, that's just how Mexico is. Like, that's, you know, they're probably wrong.
And it's like our thing sounds stupid because it's not like we did. And here's the thing, it's not like we said, oh no, we found that she did die of alcohol poisoning and our finding was nothing.
We don't know how she died.
So our thing looks stupider. Our autopsy looks stupider.
Even though there's a video showing her getting beaten like severely within hours of her death, we just can't seem to figure it out.
It was nothing. Nothing happened.
High-paid doctors in America can't put 2 and 2 together.
Nope. So concluding with some more thoughts from Shanquella's family, especially her mom, Salamandra. She said, quote, "The people who knew what happened to my daughter are living their lives. They have returned to work and my family is left to wait and to beg for answers." She's very bitter about this, rightly so.
Yeah.
And her mom also very appropriately said that this case reminds her a lot of George Floyd, because essentially there's footage, as you've just been saying, of Shanquella being physically attacked, essentially what we all believe to be part of her murder, and is certainly from that day. At the fucking, and they only spent a day there, so it's like, this is same day.
There's no way it's not. Like,
this is same day, right? And she's in the villa where she was found, being beaten by the same people that are saying all this shady shit and being very suspicious. And the family is like, basically, this is like George Floyd, because we're being gaslit. There's footage, but yet we're being told that what we're seeing isn't what we're seeing, or it isn't real, or to like not believe our eyes.
And just separately, she died somehow that same day, not related. Like,
no, it's so stupid. And the alcohol poisoning thing was never verified, and absolutely none of the symptoms she demonstrated had to be from that. It's not like definitive, right?
Right.
And yeah, it's really fucking frustrating. She seems really rad, and her family's fighting tooth and nail, but once the US government's been like, nothing happened,
that's really
it's like
hard.
Really hard. It's so hard. Yeah. I hope they can at least sue the friend, or like, or they can kind of find some other avenue for justice.
Well, the thing that I read is that they can still sue in civil court.
Yeah.
And so that would be great to just financially ruin these motherfuckers or something.
Yeah. Exactly. Something like that.
This shit pisses me off though. Like, I know you and I have talked about the Patrice O'Neill bit. Natalie Holloway, that angel. And it's like, whenever it's a black woman or like not white woman, it's like, nobody even remembers their fucking name. Nobody gives a shit. But as soon as it's like a cute rich white girl, like 20 years later, we're still following the case with bated breath,
of course.
Like,
this also reminds me of Lauren Smith Fields, right? Where there's like incredibly suspicious, obviously suspicious circumstances, but also there's this like judgment because there was like alcohol. She was drunk at all, that it can just be written off. Like, oh, she was drunk, she died. And I'm like, no, actually, you have to prove that. You have to prove the steps between A and B of the alcohol poisoning. You can't just say someone drank a lot, so they died. Like,
like it's hard enough and scary enough being a woman, but when you add being like a woman of color, you can just be murdered and like nobody fucking cares. It's crazy.
Yeah. And like I said, I think there is a huge judgment around women being drunk too. Like, oh, she was drinking a lot. Oh, say no more. Fuck her. We don't care. Like,
yeah. And that's the other thing is like, I always wonder, like, think like somebody like me who doesn't drink, all they have to do is be like, well, they did that night. And everybody's like, oh, okay.
That also happens.
Never fucking
that
drink
also happens.
Ever. But they did that night. Like,
No, all you have to do is say it. You clearly don't have to prove it.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm just really like,
I'm
in like a depressed state right now. So instead of like screaming, I'm just like really sad.
She's resigned to the state of the world.
I'm just like, just burn it all to the ground. I don't know. Whatever.
And also be careful, like watching the video. It is very upsetting and dark. And, it's probably like with all of these cases, I mean, it's kind of like Murdered Live. And we talked about that too on TV or whatever. It's like, you also have this dynamic of like, oh, please stop circulating the video,
Yeah.
There's also a little bit of grossness around that, of people kind of being just voyeuristic on it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
clickbaity.
Yeah. Well, that's a perfect segue into mine because I watched the video that my case is about.
Okay.
And I watched it not really understanding what I was about to see. Yeah, and it like changed me. It like changed, like when you see actual dead bodies or people like being stabbed, it's just like the first time I ever saw someone be beheaded, it made me sick. And like I would like cry intermittently for like days. It was fucking weird how deeply it affected me.
It stays with you. It gets like in behind your eyeballs and it like stays with you.
For me, it's like more emotional too. It's not just the act of it. It's like thinking about what that person was going through in those moments and how horrifying, and yeah, it can still get me to a bad place. But anyway, I watched this video and it took me there a little bit. I'm doing the case of Luka Magnotta. I'm sorry.
And I will say that I told Cindy to do this, but with a very strict caveat of no cat stuff. But I know you have to mention it.
I have to mention it. I think I've been good. You'll let me know, but I think we can hang. And listen,
I'm
guys,
very into my cats. I'm very sensitive about cats.
I'm just going to tell you guys right now, if you are a new listener, welcome. We don't do animal stuff. It doesn't matter if it's an important part of the story. We don't care. And if you're a longtime listener, you already know what you're in for. You can fill in the blanks. There's Google. Feel free. This is the story the way I'm going to do it, and y'all going to like it or you're not. So there we go. So this dumb bitch was born in 1982, and he was born as Eric Clinton Kirk Newman. But he, of course, had to change his name to Luka Magnotta, which, like, what does that even fucking mean? Okay.
He's trying to be cool. Yeah.
He's failing. So he's from Scarborough, Ontario, Canada. He was the oldest of 3 kids. His parents abandoned him when he was 10 years old, leaving him to be raised by his grandmother, who was cold and domineering. And this is actually part of what he says made him change his name. He said his childhood was so bad that he wanted to erase it from his memory. But, I mean, I think that that's just a really good excuse that he's, like, kind of low-key, like, stoked to have, you know?
Right.
Beyond having a rough childhood, though, and beyond being abandoned by his parents, and beyond just being a shitbag, he also, unfortunately, inherited his father's schizophrenia.
Okay.
By the time he was 18, he was regularly hearing voices and would often self-harm by hitting himself in the face, like, with his fists. He'd punch himself in the face, which actually is, like, a pretty common self-harm thing for schizophrenics. Or should I say people suffering? I don't know. My mom and my brother have schizophrenia, so I apologize if I didn't say it right. But in 2000,
people living with schizophrenia.
There we go. People suffering from schizophrenia, because it's a fucking horrifying.
It does suck. Yeah, that's true.
It's really shitty. It's really shitty. I have all the empathy in the world, is what I'm trying to say, even if I'm speaking casually, because it's just hard.
We get it. We know we're
empathetic. Offensive. Yeah,
we know you're empathetic.
So in 2002, when he was 20 years old, he did actually spend a little time in a mental hospital because he had some, like, bigger episodes and was having to be cared for. He was released, and I'm sure that they prescribed him something to help. But one thing that I've realized, at least with the people that I know who have this illness, is they either refuse to take it altogether, or they'll take it till they feel better and then stop because they feel better. So why do they need it?
Super hard, because they, like, the nature of their thing is that they think they're fine a lot.
Yes. They think the way that their brains work is normal. They think it's how everybody thinks, and it's not weird. And even when they take the medication and have clarity, for whatever reason, there's a part of them that wants to stop and, like, go back to that. I think it's, like, comfortable, like a fantasy world kind of thing is maybe comfortable. I don't know. Again, this is limited, but my own, like, anecdotal evidence from, like, my experience. But in any case, I do want to stop here and remind the point was, I don't think he was taking anything. And I do want to remind everyone that schizophrenia can make you do some out of character things for sure, but there is a line and a limit, and people's personalities do still need to be accounted for when we hear about the things that they've done.
For sure.
Because
and obviously mentally ill people are like 8 billion times more likely to be victims of crimes.
Yes,
than 100%.
Perpetrators. And I know we say that all the time, but it's worth
just a reminder. Yeah.
So beyond his poor upbringing, which his 2 other siblings shared, and his mental health diagnosis, he was also just kind of like a fame-hungry narcissist. Like, it just, which is just who he was. So he decided that he was going to be a model, and he created this whole persona around that. That's kind of part of his name, the whole thing. And he tried out for some reality shows in Canada, including one called Cover Guy, which was, like, looking for, like, models, basically.
Like top model, yeah.
Yeah. And when he went in, he told the producers that he was already a model and that people told him he was, quote, devastatingly good looking.
Oh my God. Are you Zoolander?
I watched this video, and it was a Zoolander moment. It really was. Yeah. And it's so fucking crazy to hear him say that. And it's also, like, it's a stretch.
Ugh.
And the producers on this video are pretty fucking harsh, but even so, you can, like, see his face, like, almost, like, twist in hatred when he realizes that he's being rejected.
Yeah.
And his vanity won't allow him to just accept defeat for being what the producers call, quote, too slim. He responds to that with, well, I was in Italy and they told me they don't want overly muscular men right now. So like he can't ever accept just not being good enough, you know? He's like,
no.
I traveled to Italy and they told me this and I'm better than you. You know what I mean? He's got to like cover it, and like it's super narcissistic and it's super like, you know, just really, really obvious what's going on. And while he's being rejected from reality TV, he's also actually working as a model, but in the adult sphere.
Okay.
So a lot of nude modeling. He also becomes a male escort, which I feel probably only fuels the rage inside of him.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in his mind, he, quote, like, knows that he's better than what he's doing. And yet here he is. And also, I should mention that Luka was either gay or bisexual. I've read both. I think maybe calling him gay was just lazy, and he may actually have been bisexual, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
So I want to call out that, like,
something like that. Yeah.
Something. Yeah. Definitely not just like.
Not straight.
Yeah, not straight. Yeah. So after Cover Guy and pretty near the time this crime goes down, Luka also tried out for a show called Plastic Makes Perfect. And this show was about people obsessed with cosmetic surgery. And in the audition tape, he talks about his hair transplant procedures. And also at first says that he's a model. And then when pressed, clarifies that he's an adult model and escort, which you can tell he's like not happy they're asking him about. But he sort of like tries to like swallow that down. And you can see it's fucking weird.
Sounds like a show I'd watch, by the way, too.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But he talks about all this, like he's had nose jobs and injections and this and that and all these crazy skin grafts. And like he's just addicted to plastic surgery. And you can see it in his face. Like he's definitely had a lot done.
Yeah.
So reports, beyond these attempts at fame, he also went wild on social media. Reports state that he had as many as 70 different Facebook pages, multiple Instagrams, YouTube channels, all these different platforms. He actually just made websites dedicated to himself. And then would create fake personas to like be his own fans.
That is like advanced level narcissism. That is
he's trying to make his own hype, right? But it's like really fucking weird. So, like I said, he, you know, use these platforms to pretend to be different people, pump himself up, give himself reviews. You know, he would comment on his body on his own Facebook modeling page.
Yeah.
So he's just completely obsessed with fame and himself. And he's probably also suffering from an untreated mental illness. So a pretty difficult combination. And this weird self-promotion went into pretty dark territory as well. For instance, in 2007, there's a rumor started online by someone, later found to be him, who said that Luka was dating Karla Homolka.
Oh, God.
So not only...
Foreshadowing.
It's like not only is he obsessed with fame, but now he's looking at serial killers. And like Karla Homolka and Paul Bernardo were like really good looking. So I think he identified
specific type of serial killer.
Yeah, and he has a look very similar to them. Like
he's not going for Willie Picton.
No. No. But I think he really liked that they were like this beautiful couple who were so fucking twisted. You know, and he had a girlfriend, a trans woman who dated him and said he was not only obsessed with fame, but he thought of the Ken and Barbie killers as role models. So there you go. He wants to be beautiful and murderous like them. Yeah.
Okay.
So now we're to the part that you don't want to hear. And I'm going to truncate this quite a bit. I am going to have to talk about it.
Please truncate. Okay.
I will. He hurt cats, a few of them in various horrible ways, and he put this online on these horrible websites that allow that shit. And I also think on YouTube for a quick minute. And honestly, this was kind of the beginning of the end for him. But unfortunately, as is the case in numerous cases we discuss, due to the idiocy and straight up laziness of the police, he was still able to commit actual murder before being caught. In reality, though, these were kind of the first, you know, viral videos of murder to go viral, like on, and it wasn't even human murder.
And people don't, like, cops don't take animal abuse seriously enough either, too.
No, they don't give a shit at all. But these people found these videos online and they were fucking pissed. And they were all like the type of people who spend a lot of their time online, which is like, great, if that's your thing, like online gaming, whatever.
Use your powers for good.
Yeah. And they did. They formed a Facebook group dedicated to like finding whoever was posting these horrific videos, tracking them down, and reporting them to the police. And that's what they did. They banded together and they started looking for him. They started using, like, trying kind of figuring out who he was. They found his fan page websites, his Facebook. They even used Google Maps and GPS to track down where he lived.
And he made it easy to find him in a way from being so public online.
Yeah, because he kind of wanted to be found. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so this group also found that Luka had a history of crimes, including a fraud charge in 2004 for using one of his friend's credit cards in excess of $17,000, and another in 2005 for sexually assaulting a woman. So this group goes to the cops. They have this evidence. They have the videos. They have, like, here's how we know it's him. Here's where he lives. And the cops say, we don't fucking care. They're not humans. They're cats. We don't give a shit.
They're better. They're better than humans.
Well, the other thing is that this is still like 1,000,000% fucking illegal. Like, you cannot do this.
It's a crime, of course. It's a crime for a reason. Also, it's a crime because then you could probably be a serial killer of humans as well.
Hello, yeah. But goddamn, cops are so fucking worthless, I swear to God. And I swear to God, like, Canadian cops are just as bad or worse.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Worse in a way.
Yeah, they're definitely in the running. They're competing.
They really are. So anyway, this group continues to keep tabs on him and even tell the cops, you know, that in his video he's threatening to kill humans, but the cops, again, they don't give a shit. So these people are still tracking him this whole time. So now we're in 2012. That was like 2005, 2010 that those videos were made. And in 2012, Luka is still up doing his bullshit and he's on the hunt for a man. So he puts an ad on Craigslist wanting sex and bondage. And Jun Lin, a 33-year-old college engineering student, answered the ad. Now, Jun was a gay man who had had a girlfriend, actually a wife, due to pressure from his parents. But finally, they divorced. And he ended up having a boyfriend for a time. But then he and this boyfriend broke up because his parents were like, you need to find another woman and get married and settle down. And his parents did not know that Jun was gay. He was not telling them.
Yeah.
He wanted to explore his sexuality and finally felt free enough to do so because he was, you know, in Canada and his family is all back in Wuhan, China. So he's, you know, thousands of miles away, new country, living his life. Jun would often post online about being lonely and ironically was a lover of cats and even had one as a pet. So these two meet up for sex and bondage and they go to Luka's apartment. And this is where shit gets fucked up. So big trigger warning. Like I mentioned, I watched this video when it came out, or just a few months later, I think in like October 2012. And it is fucking
You didn't watch it again for this, did you?
No, because I remember it.
It's cemented in your memory. Okay.
It is cemented like so fucking like frame by frame. I know exactly what happened. Okay. So in this video, which Luka Magnotta is filming, handheld, it shows Jun Lin tied up with a blindfold on. And he's like moving around and he's not stressed out. He seems super comfortable. Like this is what he's here for. He's tied up. He's got a blindfold. This is bondage.
So it's probably started as something consensual.
Yeah. Now in the video I saw, and I heard there was a longer version and I'm very grateful I didn't see it. But in the video I saw, the very next frame, he's fucking dead. And he's on the bed and there's like ice pick wounds on his chest, like 4 or 5, like very clear, like red circles, just like around, almost in like a triangle on his chest in a way.
Yeah.
The murder isn't shown again, so I don't know what happened. My best guess is that Luka couldn't murder this poor man while holding the camera, so he just turned it off, but I don't know. Maybe he just didn't want that proof. Anyway, from here it gets way fucking worse, if you can believe it. He stabs Jun's body in the chest like for minutes. Like it's gotta be 50 plus fucking times. He's just like stabbing and stabbing and stabbing. Then he starts cutting into his body and it's honestly one of the most disconcerting things I've ever seen, watching a body get cut into and not bleed. Just like the fat and the sinew of his body just kind of it's fucked up. He then removes one of Jun's legs and his head. More trigger warning, you guys. He then rapes his torso. Like has anal sex with it. He then cuts a piece out of Jun's buttocks and seems to eat it. But like I remember like, oh my God, he ate it. And then like a minute later, the piece of flesh was still on the fork that he was using. Because using like a fork for, like,
so he definitely wanted people to at least think he did, whether he did or not.
Yeah, but again, I read that there was a longer video where the police were like, he might have perform cannibalism. But like, remember, cops are fucking stupid, and he could have just fooled them the same way. So anyway, he also has a puppy there that he allows to start eating the body.
Okay.
Another trigger warning for you. He then did kill the puppy and dump its body. Yeah, which is because of course he did, right?
I hate this guy so much.
Yeah. At one point, he also rapes Jun's body with a dildo. He does some other things that like I don't remember what they were, but I just remember like weird shit.
This is all on the video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
He then shows Jun's head, which is no longer attached to his body, along with more well-lit photos of the aftermath. And that's basically what I remember from the video.
Okay.
He uploads this video entitled One Lunatic, One Ice Pick to bestgore.com.
Which is a parody on 3 Girls, 1 Cup.
Yes, exactly. Which like, way to try to be funny, you fucking piece of shit. Like, I don't know.
And then I'll give a brief shout out to the maniacs whose Ukrainian village name I can't pronounce, who did 3 Guys, 1 Hammer.
Yeah.
I can't. No, that was too much.
It's too much.
But I think they came first, right? So was he riffing off 3 Guys, 1 Hammer, or was it the other way around?
I'd like to think he was too stupid to even know that one, and so he was just.
But they were similar periods of time.
They were, yeah. In any case, everybody thought they were clever with these stupid fucking names. So anyway, just so you know, he'd been promoting this video for at least 10 days before posting it, and he posted it the same night it occurred. So this was absolutely fucking planned. Luka then takes some of the body parts and the dog and puts them in the trash in his building's bins, and he puts the body in a suitcase. But not all of the body. And we'll get there. Okay. He then booked a flight to Paris using his own passport. He then did some other shit, which we'll talk about. On May 26th, one day after the video was posted, a lawyer from Montana reached out to the Canadian police regarding the video, but they brushed it off as a fake and fucking ignored it. Luckily, 3 days later, the Conservative Party in Canada received a package at their headquarters in Ottawa. And inside this package was Jun Lin's left foot.
Oh my God.
His left hand was en route to the Liberal Party when it was intercepted in the mail. However, on June 5th and 6th, 2 other packages were able to make it through the postal system and found their way to 2 separate grade schools. Although I'm pretty sure no children ever saw them, but the admins there must have had quite a fucking shock.
Yeah, someone had to see it. So.
Yeah. So before these, after the first body part gets mailed, cops finally decide to take this seriously. And then the janitor, a janitor, found the suitcase with the body parts inside just outside of Luka's apartment. And in the same trash are documents covered in blood that belong to Luka that identify him. So then they get a warrant or whatever they do in Canada to search his apartment. And they were also then, pretty shortly after, they were able to confirm the body parts found in the suitcase matched the victim in the video, Jun Lin. They did this in about mid-June, and shortly thereafter, like around July 1st, they found Jun's head near a lake after a tip came in. Maybe this tip came from Luka for all we know. You know, he loves to do that shit.
It's possible.
So in the apartment, they found a ton of blood and some weird shit written on the inside of a closet that said, "If you don't like the reflection, don't look in the mirror. I don't care."
Oh, so cool. So badass.
I know.
That's about as edgy as like Israel Key's poetry.
Oh my God. That's like my favorite thing about last podcast on the left was when they read that and they put that like metal music on behind. It's
they really did a good job of making fun of Israel Keys.
Yeah.
But I think that Luka Magnotta would have thought Israel Keys is like really cool.
Oh, for sure. He would have like loved him. He would have loved him.
Yeah.
So there was also footage found of Luka dumping these the suitcase and the bags, and more footage showing him mailing the packages out of a post office in Montreal. So an international warrant, which was called a red notice, was issued via Interpol, and that's like the highest alert notice possible. And his photo was like plastered on the front page of Interpol's website. Like they were fucking looking for him.
Yeah.
He was tracked to Paris, where he'd started using a fake passport with the name Kirk Trammell, which is like
that's dumb
name. But then he also made the dumbass mistake of staying with friends and contacts, like people that he knew. At least one of whom had no idea what he had done, but I think some of them did know.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. He then took a train to Berlin, attempting to get away from the police. But again, he was really easy to track because he was staying with people that he knew, and it's fucking Interpol. They're gonna find you, you know?
Yeah.
Like you gotta be Jason Bourne about it if you don't want to get caught. You know, like don't
I'm pretty sure Don't they even catch Jason Bourne at some point?
Yeah, I mean, he had to kill a bunch of fools, but yeah. So anyway, on June 4th, before those last packages even made it to the schools, he was apprehended in an internet cafe in Berlin while reading about himself on the news.
Of course.
Yeah, what a fucking dickbag. So he gets extradited back to Canada and they start a trial. He decides to be tried by judge and jury. He pleads not guilty, claiming diminished responsibility because of his, mental disorders.
Mm-hmm.
The trial lasted 10 weeks, and there was expert testimony from independent experts, experts for the Crown and experts for the defense. All of them found various horrible things, like borderline personality order with histrionic traits. If anybody doesn't know what histrionic traits are, it's like narcissism on steroids. It's like it's what they said Amber Heard has or whatever. Yeah, like pathological narcissism. So then another doctor found he had borderline personality disorder. Another one found antisocial personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and narcissistic personality disorder. Three of them found paranoid schizophrenia. Another found histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality traits, and paraphilia, which means being turned on by like objects. So obviously every single one of them is like, this guy has mental health.
There's some stuff here. Yeah.
The one guy for the Crown is like antisocial personality disorder, histrionic personality disorder, and narcissistic personality disorder, because none of those are the type of thing that can be used for like diminished responsibility.
Right.
It just means that you have like major personality flaws, but you still know right from wrong. You're not out of your mind. The other Crown prosecutor or Crown witness found borderline personality disorder, which actually could work in the defense's favor. So either way, something's going on.
Gotcha.
Plus he had actually been, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia as a teenager. So it's not like
right.
So in any case, he got life with a minimum of 25 years, and then he got an additional 19 years, I think, for some of the like animal cruelty, but it was served concurrently. So he could get out by like 2037, I think he'd be.
No, I don't like that.
I know. That's like really, really soon.
What was the total sentence?
Life, but with minimum 25, and then an additional 19 years, but they're served concurrently. So he's like serving them right now.
So I mean, you mean altogether, not consecutive. Okay.
Did I say consecutive?
No, I just like, I think I literally forgot what concurrently meant.
Yeah, no, all good. I know sometimes I mix those up. But in any case, so he's going to do 25 years and then be eligible for parole. Now, whether or not he can get parole is a whole other story. Yeah. But at that point, they start the continual process of like checking in to see if they can let him out.
I would hope that like just by the sheer celebrity factor, they would not give him parole. Like, I mean, I don't know with Canada, man. They're weird like that. We tend to do that more. Like, for instance, Susan Atkins, or one of the Manson murder girls, had parole most of her sentence, but she was just refused just because, right? Because it's a famous case.
Right.
But Canada doesn't do that shit.
No, they don't. It doesn't matter how like, big of a case it is. Which I kind of respect that, but like
in most while cases, he's on I care.
Right. I mean, in this guy, he was like sending letters saying, I'm going to kill again. And this was like planned. He was promoting this. He murdered this guy so that he could get famous, which absolutely fucking worked. I mean,
he did animal abuse to get famous
because he couldn't figure out a way.
Things just to like get clout for himself.
Yeah.
And become serial killer famous. Like, he would absolutely kill again if he was out.
Yeah. Also, in prison now, he's married. He married a guy.
Okay. In prison or an outside person?
An outside person, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, yeah. That he married somebody on the outside. And his mom was the witness. His mom's a piece of shit, by the way. If you guys watch Don't Fuck with Cats on Netflix, like his mom, there's something deeply fucking wrong with him. Or with her,
it could have something to do with how he turned out the way he did.
Well, I mean, she did fucking abandon him, when he was young.
Too.
So, but anyway, so he is famous, but he's known as a cannibal porn star. So, like, is that really what you want? But I guess he'll take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess that's what he settled for in terms of fame.
And if you have histrionic personality disorder, you can turn that into anything. You can convince yourself that this is a good thing.
That's great. Yeah. No, so. I just like, I mean, 99% of the time I'm like, yeah, be lenient. But like, there's this, it's the cats, man, that puts it over the edge for me. I just want him to like be like, I just want him to be like punished very much.
To me, like, what really bothers me is like, why are the police never held responsible for things that happen when they ignore people being like, hey, if you don't do something, this is going to happen. And then it happens. It's like one of the only jobs where like you don't get fired for being just fucking like doing the opposite. It's like opposite day. Every day is like the opposite day for cops. Yeah. Like, here's what you should be doing. And then they just do the opposite. And then they're just like rewarded with like fucking good pay and like benefits and like power. It's insane to me. In any case, terrible. Yeah, fucked up. Fuck that guy. You know, just yeah. I just pray that Junlin like didn't suffer, that it was quick, and that he went from like thinking it was going to be like a fun night to just, you know,
still it's so fucking horrible. And I do love, even though I don't want to ever know more about it, like I do love that the documentary is called Don't Fuck with Cats, because it's like, even though the cops didn't care, some people who love cats cared.
Oh, and they stayed on it. They stayed with it for years. They never gave up. And like when he was being hunted, they were like helping and like trying to like find him. Like they were very, very serious. And like, I think that's really great.
I appreciate that there's warriors for cats out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, animals in general, but like cats. Yeah. That was really what did it. I will never tell you more about it. I know you've had to hear it before.
Please don't. Please don't.
And again, if you guys want to know more, you sick fucks, you can look it up.
You can watch the Netflix thing.
Available. Yeah. But here we're just focusing on the other stuff. So anyway, that is the first two of this 4.
We will be back. Human murders only allowed.
Yeah. We'll be back with part 2 very soon.
Mm-hmm.
And thanks everybody for listening. Everybody, again, give a shout out to Kay for her amazing work helping us with the Discord and the Instagram and the this, that, and the other. We're going to really get things rolling soon. That's all I have to say. So until the next episode,
hey,
off our list. Stay off and bye.